Hey everyone, David Staub here with the Maegical Stories of Healing and Spiritual Gifts podcast. And I just wanted to take a second and say thank you all so much for listening in and being part of our community. Megan and I both are so grateful for every one of you, all your support in this movement. And we did want to take a minute and let you know that we will never charge for our podcast. We want this information out there free and it helps start changing the world. That being said, we do want to take a second and let you know about some of the products that we believe in that we're using. One of those being Anchor, which you're listening to right now. If you've never heard of Anchor, it's literally the easiest way to make a podcast. It's totally free. Megan and I didn't know how to make a podcast before. We use it. It's free. It actually lets you record podcasts right from your phone or your computer, and it automatically distributes the podcast for you to be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, all over. And you can also make money from it too. There's no minimum listenership. It's everything you really need to make a podcast in one place. So if you've ever thought about making a podcast, go to anchor.fm and sign up to get started. Have a great day, and I'm looking forward to continuing to learn from every one of you.
Oh, we're there.
Hey, there you are. Welcome everyone to the Maegical Stories of Healing and Spiritual Gifts podcast. I'm here with my lovely wife, Megan.
Hi, everyone.
And we are so excited to bring you a very special guest today, a evidential medium and very powerful intuitive, Miss Traci St. Croi. Thank you for making time for us, Traci.
Thank you for having me on, David and Megan. This is exciting. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes, girl. I am so excited about having you on here.
Yeah, we know. Actually, she's been incredibly helpful for Megan and her past and recent future too, and recent too. So we're excited to have you on and talk to you a little bit. Thanks for making some time for us.
No worries. I'll always make time for you guys. You guys are total rock stars.
Thank you. As are you. Cool. So before we actually get going into all your awesome gifts and how they came along and what you're doing with them, you've written your first book, which is so cool. What an accomplishment. What I'd love, before we get into all the gift stuff, what inspired you to write your first book, which is 7 tips and tricks to enhance your intuition, it's basically a practical guide to knowing, loving, and trusting your intuition. What inspired you to write it?
Honestly, it started out just with a general, kind of cheat sheet of 7 tips and tricks that I was just distributing out to people.
Okay.
Because there were so many clients that were like, well, how do I do this? And how do I, how do I study my gifts? So I thought, well, let me just give something out there to the public real quick. And I seriously wrote that in it seemed like 10 minutes. It came out of me so fast. And then it just started to kind of evolve naturally, where it was like, you need to turn this into a small ebook. And when I sat down, I realized all I really had to do was copy and paste, because I had all of my information already for this book already. And so
that's amazing.
Wow.
It was just boom, 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 boom. And so we're really excited for the launch. We are going to be doing that in early February. It's going to be an ebook. It comes with 7 tips and tricks. It comes complete with practical exercises for you to do on a daily basis. It has affirmations for you to follow. It has a practical way for you to connect with your logic and your intuition and to mold them together.
I'm buying that. Can't wait.
Awesome. When we publish, is there a way to pre-order it? Because we can put that on the link when we publish it too.
Yes, I can send you a link after the
Perfect.
show. And it'll actually be on a good link that you can use for the show, because it's my 360 site, that catch-all. So everybody will be able to connect with me, 5 ways from China. So
that's awesome. That's perfect. Cool. Yeah, we'll publish the link with your podcast here in a few weeks when we publish it. That's great.
Awesome.
In regards to intuition, do you feel like there's a select few that have it, or does everyone have intuition? How does that work?
No, I am a full believer that we come into this incarnation with the gift of intuition. I really do believe that is a gift for all of our souls to be able to utilize. I describe it as in my book. Sometimes it's like a hidden app on your phone. that maybe you get glimpses of here and there, and you kind of think it's there, but you don't really know how to open it up or work the settings or like really functionally use it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I really do go with the adage that, God, universe, spirit, whatever, did not bring us here to this earth without any kind of connection tools, without any kind of, guidance to get us around. And that's what I believe our intuition is. And I believe that no matter who you are, you do have intuition. You just might not be aware of how it's working with you. You might not be aware of your mechanics.
Wow.
And we all have spiritual gifts, but there's all this conditioning, programming, that throughout life. And so, I'm a big believer that, it just lies dormant in people until they're able to tap into it and really awaken it. Do you agree?
I fully agree. I fully agree with that statement.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot in this world that we come into, and, we come into, with our guidance system, our inner app, and depending on the environment, our experiences, our psychology, all of that, it can kind of fuzzy the app, right?
Yeah.
It can kind of skew it. But
absolutely.
It's always there, and once we figure it out, we're like, oh my God, why didn't somebody tell me this?
That's awesome. I love that. I love that metaphor. So there's one thing to have spiritual gifts to me, and work in the spiritual realm. Whole other thing to do it in business. From what we hear, you've been voluntold you needed to get in the spiritual realm of business. Tell us about how that happened.
Yes, I do like to joke when people ask me, how did you get into this business? And I like to say, Spirit voluntold me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really, when my gifts came kind of springing out like a hidden well, I tried to negotiate with God. And if you've ever tried to negotiate God, good luck with that.
Right.
And I tried to, say, okay, God, I know you want you want me to use these gifts, but I need this first. I need this 9 to 5. And then I'll do it on weekends and nights or something like that. And God was like,
no, I'm going to push you into it whether you're comfortable or not.
Yeah. And it was basically like, okay, I'll give you this job, but it's going to be really uncomfortable and you're not going to like it.
Oh my God.
After, literally, it was like horrible bosses. Companies would close. It was just like, all right. I remember sitting in one of my parking lots and I was like, fine, God, fine. And I had a nice little fit, a hissy fit in the car. Yeah. And I just said, fine, if I'm supposed to do this, you better support me and let's do this together. And so after that point, I just was like, forget it.
That's awesome.
Live life like I'm going to die tomorrow.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, so, there's different kinds, people get raised in different ways. And from what we've heard, you were a child that had a law enforcement family, which is not all the time, tends to be on the other side of the spiritual realm. What was it like being a child in a law enforcement family with these gifts as you were growing up?
I would describe it as very interesting. Okay. And it was good training ground.
Okay.
The first house that my parents brought me home to, I lived in until I was 5. There were graveyards in the backyard. Literally, we would play hide and seek in them. There was a massive graveyard to the other side of our house, and then there was a funeral home at the corner. So it was pretty easy for me to tap into things, especially the gifts that I came into. And me growing up in like a law enforcement family, I think that they were really boggled and perplexed. They didn't know how to understand me or manage me or work with me. So it was just easiest from a law enforcement perspective, which is more like, if I can't understand it, I need to stop it. It was easier for them to say, like, that's not happening, that's not real, la 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 la, even though I would say things that were spot on.
Right.
And how that helped me when I got older, when I got into my actual gifts, you know, it's really helped me out being in that law enforcement, that I can really pick up on different sensations with law enforcement, like whether they're a good guy, whether they're a bad guy, whether, you know, what's going on with them. So growing up in that environment really did help me with my gifts later on in life.
Oh, that's awesome. And that's such a unique experience too.
It really is. And I asked my dad one time, I said, why did you buy a house surrounded by graveyards and funeral homes? And his response, being, you know, a witty detective, he said, I knew the neighbors would be quiet. So
Oh my God.
I love that.
He didn't understand they weren't quiet for me.
Oh my God.
Right?
Where were you when you first started to realize that, like, things were different for you?
I remember being a child and knowing something was different with me, because I would have experiences where information was obvious to me about a person or a situation, but to others in the room, they were just completely oblivious to it.
Wow.
And
Now,
I
did you
didn't
feel like the black sheep?
Oh, yeah, I like to say I wasn't the black sheep. I was the light sheep.
The
That's what
unicorn.
I like that.
You were the unicorn.
I was the unicorn. And I, you know, growing up as a child like that, it gave me interesting experiences that I've been able to draw on to help others, to help them not feel so left out in the cold.
That's awesome. That's really cool that you take that perspective on it.
What fulfilling work.
Yeah. Oh, completely. So you did your training at the Arthur Findlay College of Psychic Sciences, and for those that have never heard of it, think of it as the real life Hogwarts.
Yes, yes. Sir.
How did that did that training kind of change your abilities? If so, how did it change your abilities?
It took my abilities from, you know, like, I knew I had these gifts, I knew what they were about, but I didn't quite have a good structure to work with them. And they took me as a newbie and they gave me a structure, they gave me a format, they taught me how to learn my mechanics of myself and gave me a system to follow, which helps me because I'm a Libra. Give me a plan, I need an Excel spreadsheet. And they are hardcore over there. It is called, it is not called spiritual boot camp because we're over there hugging trees and catching butterflies. And it really took my training to just phenomenal levels. Every time I go there, every time I study with one of the tutors who come over here to the United States, it's marvelous what I learn and what I walk away from.
Wow, that is so cool to have that kind of.
So it just really helped you to develop your gifts even further.
It did, because that's what I teach a lot in my book, and also when I'm working with students, is everything needs a structure in this world. Everything from, you get out of bed in the morning, you put your feet on the floor, you have certain things that you do. The same way with your intuitive gifts and your mediumship is learn it this way, get a structure behind it, because you need to understand your information that's coming through, because you need to be crystal clear on that to communicate that to the person you're delivering a message to. Then take that structure and, go forth. If you want to play with it, if you want to mix it up, go for it. But you always have that structure to follow back on.
Love that.
Makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, when is it that you knew your gifts were real and not just coincidences? There's people out there that are like, oh, that's just a coincidence. When did you know that they were actually real and it wasn't just coincidences?
In my early 30s, that's when I knew, something was, drastically happening to me quickly. And it happened after I decided to just change my whole life. I just wasn't healthy mentally, spiritually, physically. And when I made a huge leap to just leave my old life behind and start something new, that's when my gifts came out. And that is when I, said, okay, this is real. And I mean, when I say they came out, I mean, I had so much psychic information coming at me, I didn't know what to do with it.
Wow. Wow, that's cool.
And luckily, I was able to get in touch with a local woman here in Austin, and it got on the phone with her. And I remember I was just in tears and crying, and I thought I was crazy. I was like, you could just tell me I'm crazy. I was scared. I was traumatized. I didn't know what to think. And, she calmed me down and she said, oh, darling, you're not crazy. You're just psychic as hell. Now I need you to come to my house. Yeah.
Now, I am so curious. Do you work with like the 5, what do you call it? Like gifts, senses, like there's clairvoyance, clairsentience. Like, are you seeing spirits? Are you hearing spirits? Or is it feeling it? Like, tell me, like, is it visions? Like, what is it? I'm so fascinated.
It's all of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's all of it. So when, anytime, like even when I do intuitive readings, or if I'm doing a mediumship style reading, I'm still going to be using, or I'm going to be opening up to use all of my 5 non-physical senses. I don't really say like, oh, I have to see you, or, oh, I better hear you. I just let the information come through and then decipher it how it does, whether I feel something about your mother, or whether I smelled her cigarette smoke, or whether I see she had a ginormous bouffant she was proud of. I let it come as it comes. I don't dictate it.
That's awesome. Just becoming a powerful vessel. Well, how'd you become known as the go-to event psychic medium?
It really came about unexpectedly. I started to just get invited to people's houses to do mediumship demos. And so I just started going, okay, this is how much it costs. This is what we can do. And all of a sudden, just my phone just started ringing and ringing and ringing. You have to come to my house. No, you have to come to my party. No, I have a corporate event. I need you here. And it just started snowballing. And what I really realized is that I loved that style of work. I loved working with larger groups of people. That's just my jam.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because you do a lot of those gallery readings.
I do.
Right? Yeah.
So that's basically in front of, an audience, delivering messages from deceased loved ones.
Wow, that's such a talent. That's so amazing. What a gift.
I love it.
No, it is amazing.
So would you say like spirits are really all around us all the time, or do you have to like summon them in? Are they around us all the time? And if they are, how can we communicate with our loved one?
Yes, I do believe that spirits are around us all the time. Are we 100% aware of that? No, we're not.
Got it.
Sometimes, like you said, I'll know when certain loved ones are around.
Mm-hmm.
I will smell my mom's perfume.
Wow.
Or, I will see certain animals in a certain number that I know, I just got a hello from heaven.
Oh, that's awesome.
For instance, last week I did this celebration of life for a family that I'm close to that lost their daughter. And a couple nights before the event, I had a dream about my father, and I woke up and I heard him in my bedroom say, hey, and like both of my cats turned.
Wow.
And then I woke up to find the t-shirt that she had given to me later on that day had fallen off the very, very tippy top shelf of my closet where I had it and fell right onto the floor.
Whoa.
So,
go ahead. Go ahead.
It's just, it's one thing after another. And when we start to tune ourselves into that, or we open ourselves up to that, they start showing us it.
Oh yeah. I'm experiencing those things. It's so interesting, and it's so funny. Like sometimes, if people have, a reading, they might not understand it until, it happens, right? Things start to happen. Mm-hmm. So, one thing that I am forever grateful to you for is, first of all, anyone that knows me knows that I'm a huge, huge animal lover. Mm-hmm. And I had a pug that was my world. I mean, girl, my world. And I remember you telling me, you were like, it wasn't his time just yet, but you were like, he's saying suffering's not his thing. You were like, there's a situation. I see you in the vet's office with the, ultimate, decision, right? Mm-hmm. And suffering's not his thing. Girl, it happened like 2 weeks after that call. And let me just tell you, if I hadn't had that conversation with you, my selfishness would have left that vet clinic, even if he was suffering, which just sounds horrible, but you just want to do anything to keep them alive. But I went through with it because I knew in my heart what you said, you know what I mean? And I did not want him to suffer. Now, my next question is, do you believe that our beloved pets can sometimes choose to either stay on the other side or to come back?
Oh, yes. I do believe that our pets can communicate with us that are on the other side as well. Yes. Just like, human souls can do that. I believe that animal souls can do that. Like, I've even felt, a phantom cat walking around my feet when I've been thinking about a cat that I had when I was really, really younger.
Wow.
So I do believe they can come back. Yes.
I love it. I know that brings comfort to so many people that are listening.
It does. And, I would just say, just pay attention, because sometimes people can feel their cat on the bottom of their bed or sense them above their head at night. It's just kind of like our human loved ones in spirit can communicate with us, so can our pets.
Jeez.
That's amazing. I love it.
That's awesome. That's so comforting too. Like Megan just said, because animals they're our babies.
They are our babies.
Well, what advice? Because we get different crowds that listen to this podcast. A good amount of them maybe feeling like they might have abilities. What advice do you have for anyone that wants to investigate their abilities?
I say do it. I say you have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Yeah.
Love it.
And if you're curious, if you're already to the point of curiosity, there's something within you that wants to explore this. Give it that option. Give it that space.
Yeah, there's a reason why that seed has been planted in you, right?
There's a reason. We don't know everything. We don't.
Oh, yeah.
No psychic in the world knows everything or ever.
Right.
But I always say, start to explore your intuition, and they can start by, downloading my book, 7 Tips and Tricks, to start off from there if they want to.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. And I was just totally curious about this. Uh-huh. Do deceased people, they communicate with you when you're just like out in public or at the store, or do you have to be in a certain setting?
No, they do try what they try to get my attention.
Wow.
Because they're like, oh my God, she can hear me, right? I got to get to her. That's my mom in produce, right? Or whatever it is. And, I'm like, I'm in the middle of grocery shopping. Like, like, this might not be the time and the space. So either get her to come up and start a conversation with me, or get her to make an appointment with me of some kind.
I love it.
Because I'm usually, I'm doing my human thing.
Now, do you believe that there are angels walking on this earth that are in human form to help us? And if so, do they even know that they're on that mission?
I do believe that there are people that come to this earth with an extremely pure soul, and they stay that way.
Wow.
And I believe that they are, tuned in, turned on, and tapped in more than others. And they understand what generosity is, humanity, showing people that they care. Now, I do believe that angels can come and incarnate a physical body to complete a task real quick, to help something, to stop something. I believe that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Now, so you talk to the dead. Some people would say that this is demonic. What is your response to that? Because I'm sure that you've gotten that your whole life.
Fear-based conditioning.
It is a lot of fear-based conditioning. And honestly, I mean, skeptics are a dime a dozen.
Yep.
Yeah.
And honestly, what I tell them is really, it's not my job to make you believe in me as a medium. That's not my job. My job is to deliver messages from people's loved ones.
Yep.
That's my
awesome.
job. And I also tell them too, I trained at the Journey Within, and that's a sister school of Arthur Finley here in the United States. And the woman who runs it, her name is Janet Nohavec, and she is a former Roman Catholic nun turned medium.
Oh, wow.
And I tell people, I trained with her, and her viewpoint on it was, it's okay to talk to God, and it's okay to talk to angels, and I can talk to saints, and I can talk to Jesus and Mother Mary, but I'm going to hell if I talk to my grandma?
Right?
Right. Well, because people are conditioned to believe that that's, it's deception, that it's a fallen angel that's, deceiving you. That's where, people that are in that religious atmosphere, that's what they're being told.
And that's what they're being told, and they're not, they're just not open enough to explore another perception of something.
Right. Yep. It's like, use your own discernment. You know what I mean?
And that's, I tell a lot of people that. I'm just like, the Bible was written and kind of edited heavily.
Yep.
Right. It's been tampered with.
Yep.
I always say, take what you need and leave the rest. No matter if it's from a religious text or a book or, whatever it is, take what you need and leave the rest, but leave an open mind to people, because when you open yourself up to a greater love in this life, you start to heal and you start to soften yourself.
Yes.
Yes. Oh.
Yes, and through doing like the work, of people working with people like you, it has only led me to like amazing good things and like healing, and that's what kills me the most. It's like, oh my God, like you have no idea. Now I'm really, really curious what you're going to say this next question. What do you think happens when we cross over? And do you believe that we do have multiple lives? And if so, how long do you think it takes to come back for our next life?
Okay, those were big, big questions. Those were a lot of questions. Those were
She like 5.
Questions. Yeah. So I do believe that when we cross over, I do believe that we see the light and we go to the light, because think about it. We go through some kind of tunnel coming into this world, and then we see a big old bright light.
Right.
Yep.
As so it was in the beginning, so it is in the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I like to say, even as a medium, even all the work that I've done, I've probably only been able to see a pinhole of things.
Sure.
Wow.
And I do believe that we do cross over. I believe that we get, reunited with loved ones. I know for a fact we get a life review.
Wow.
I do believe that we come back as souls reincarnated. I do believe that we come back with the same souls to work whatever out. Maybe we're in different forms, different relationships. But I do believe that that is a part of our purpose, and it's more to really love and to know each other.
So do you believe then that, like, if you're with you meet your twin flame in this life, that is the same person that would be your twin flame in the next life, or could that change?
I think it's all. I think it's mostly negotiable.
Okay. Interesting.
I really do believe that. I have a firm belief and a knowing that before we come into another incarnation, I believe that we do have a little bit of say on, maybe some of our destiny points or people that we need to meet up with. And maybe you do meet a twin flame in this life. Maybe they were your husband last lifetime and now they're your son.
Okay.
Wow.
So
it
I'm
might
sure
not
that
come in the same way.
Okay, no, that makes sense. I'm sure that you don't have as big of a fear of death as most people, I'm assuming, right?
No, I do not.
Yeah, I figured.
My dad always taught me, he said, Tracy, it ain't the living it ain't the dead you gotta worry about.
It's no living.
Ain't that the truth? Preach. So, what are the best ways for our listeners that are listening right now to be able to protect themselves, align themselves, connect themselves, ground themselves? What are the best ways for people to do that?
Some of the most ways that I tell people is, always keep it simple, right?
Mm-hmm.
I say, come up with a morning routine that works for you.
Yes.
Come up with something that works when you have to use it in the middle of the day.
Right.
And come up with another routine for the night. So, for instance, I use a lot of, I call in Archangel Michael protection energy every morning around me, and I have my affirmations and
yes, girl,
all of that kind of protects me. It connects me with God, because I also do a lot of meditation in the morning and contemplative work. I like to say I got to check in and get orders from the boss before I start my day.
Right.
Yes.
And that also grounds me too. So I get grounded. And then throughout the day, I have, some people like tapping, some people like just saying an affirmation, some people like to splash water on their face. I tell people, whatever's going to work for you, work it, girl.
Yeah, I'm all about affirmations, all about it. Yes. I'm telling you, I changed my life with affirmations. Like, they are powerful, big time. What are your thoughts around plant medicine? Do you have any thoughts about plant medicine?
I do have a lot of thoughts about plant medicine, and I'm all for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do believe that plant medicine like ayahuasca, or mushrooms can be very, very helpful. Now, my caveat to that is, if you're going to do that, it needs to be in the right situation, the right environment, the right supportive staff for you.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you're wanting to do some trauma healing.
Yes.
Please don't trip shrooms and think you're going to go to a party. Okay?
Right. They're sacred.
It's very sacred medicine to me.
Yes.
And that's a part of what I believe God gave us. God gave us intuition, but he also gave us something in the physical world to be able to use to heal ourselves too. And
my God, yes.
Right time, right location, right people. So
I'm
all for it. I've done plant medicine, and it was, whoa.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We try not to be too biased on this podcast, but we are very biased about plant medicine. So,
It did so much healing that would have taken like 20 years of psychotherapy. And
but you were right. It was a very sacred ceremony.
Yes.
There was like an hour spent on protective measures beforehand, like a straight up hour of all these protective measures. You had people on standby there to help. Like, it was such a sacred aspect, and so sacred, so safe. And even with mushrooms, experimenting years ago, it's so different now in our spiritual evolution, where it is still a very rare but sacred experience with a lot of direct intention of either healing or clarity or communication. Like, there is nothing partying about it. It is a very kind of intense sometimes, but very sacred experience. So I love that you said that. That is awesome.
It is.
Yeah, and
it is sacred medicine.
Yes.
And I love that you mentioned healing ourselves, because so people are conditioned. I was for almost 30 years that you have to go to a doctor, and it's like, oh my God, that's what ayahuasca did for me. It helped facilitate myself and my own healing. And so it's so important for people listening to be able to know that every one of us has the power to heal ourselves. Everyone.
Everybody does. And I'm a firm believer of meditation over medication. Okay.
Ooh,
absolutely.
I never heard that, but I love that.
Absolutely. Now, since you're bringing meditation and affirmations up, what are your thoughts on the law of attraction?
Here's my thought on the law of attraction. We're missing out on quite a few of the other laws that go along with it.
Well, that was my next question.
That's actually the next question. So basically, what are your thoughts on the law of attraction, and what are the other laws you think are important?
I appreciate law of attraction, but it's just kind of like it's a recipe to me, right? If you just try to make something with one ingredient, it's not going to taste right.
I like that.
It might get a little skewed. So, there's other laws the law of reciprocity, the law of frequency and magnetism. Those all play in with the law of attraction. And what I tell people, if you're going to start to use the laws of the universe, it's first and foremost, and I teach this in my book, is you got to get a God, a spirit, a universe, a whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
You got to get in touch with that, because you're not going to co-create your reality on your own.
Oh, no. Well said.
Thank you for saying that, Dan. Thank you.
That's the big issue. I truly think that's the big issue.
We are co-creating.
Right? We are co-creating our reality.
Nice. I love
every minute. And I say study the other laws that go into the law of attraction. I think law of attraction, it's just a very popular term. It's a brand.
Right.
It's a brand.
Right.
That's basically what it is.
Right. Well, girl, I can't wait to get your book. I'm super stoked, and I cannot wait.
100%. We are both getting it.
Yeah,
awesome.
I can't wait. Everyone listening should be getting this book. 100%.
We will definitely be publishing the pre-order link when we publish this podcast. This has been incredible.
Oh my God, this has been awesome. You guys are going to have me back on or something, because we could just go on for hours.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We will definitely do a part 2 of this, 100%. So before we cut off, there's 2 things we'll always ask. So one, how can people get in touch? We're going to publish the pre-order link. But other than that, do you do any virtual services? And how? Because a lot of our viewers, they're kind of all over the country. We do have a good amount in Austin, but there's a lot all around the country, like in our group. So do you do any virtual services, and how can people get in contact with you?
Yes, I do virtual services. I utilize Zoom for a lot of video conferencing. I have clients all over the world, so I utilize that a lot for my virtual platform. And if you want to get in contact with me, the best way to do it is pick up your mobile phone right now and go to www.Traci St. Croi, and that's Croi, CROI, 360.com. Now that is going to be the mothership to be able to contact me, to schedule with me, to see my next events, and to register to be the first to get my new ebook.
Yes.
Do that.
And it's Traci with a Y, not EY, correct?
Correct. TRACY STCROI 360.com.
And, we wouldn't bring anyone on that we didn't recommend. But with this specific case, Megan has specifically seen her. She is amazing. Traci is insanely talented. We both could not recommend her enough. I definitely if there's anything calling to you right now, do it. Go to her site, book with her, and we're going to put a link, like I said, to get her ebook. It'll continue you on the right path. So we couldn't recommend her enough. Thank you so much, Traci. The last question we always ask, what if you could leave the world with one message, what would it be?
Trust your intuition.
Love that.
Yeah, 100%.
I love that. That is simple and powerful.
Yeah, because we all have it.
Yes.
And
we all have
and
it.
if you're not tapped into it, things like reading your book are going to help you to be able to develop it and know what you need to do to really awaken that part of you. Love it.
Yes, it is. And, there's lots of juicy freebies in the book and lots of invites to get onto some of my Facebook groups where we talk intuition and inspiration and how to run a business.
That's awesome.
So get the book and get the invite.
You guys heard it. You guys heard it yourself. You're on this path to get the book. It'll be published with this. Awesome. Thanks again so much, Traci, for your time. We will definitely be doing a part 2.
Yes, I hope to see you soon.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, let's get we can meet up and get some kava. That's another plant medicine we haven't talked
Ooh.
about.
Girl, I'm down. You just let me know when and where.
Awesome.
All right. Well, you guys have a great day, and thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for being
Happy
here. Happy
healing,
healing.
Okay. Bye-bye.